Hey guys, let's see, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Webbot report came out much sooner than they kind of anticipated. So one of the things he mentioned was that, if I refer to, earlier in May or something along those lines regarding May, well, we anticipated on releasing this in, early June or late May. Uh, Not right now in the beginning of May, the very first day of May. So that's why in the data or in the sentences, some of the sentences he's writing may say something about early May or whatever, because he was anticipating releasing it at the end of May and June. And that's actually the first time they've done that early. But it's about 28 pages long, I believe. Fairly short one, and quite a few interesting things in here. I would suggest everybody to get it. For $10, halfpasthuman.com. It's right there. I'm only picking and choosing certain things that I decide. Let me put this in here to do a YouTube video about it. You may get the report and say, "Damn, why didn't Joe talk about that section? That's big to me." Maybe it wasn't that big to me, or I can't include everything. I can't be in here plagiarizing this whole thing. So I just kind of pick and choose some things, and that's it. So let's get down to the business here. I think I got about 6 pages, but I got big fat words right now, so it's probably more like 4 pages. The accretion patterns for the Terra entity, or world earth changes things, as well as the rate of new supporting dataset growth, are both pointing toward an increase in Terra intrusions into human civilization over the next 2 years. The rate of growth of new and continuing supporting aspect attribute sets is most disturbing. The rate of growth in this last run, or Webbot run, is approximately 3 times faster than the fastest growth rates, which were in 2003-2004 runs prior to the Sumatran tsunami, the big one that killed 300,000 people. So that's interesting. A new phase that they're using, phrase. I put this in there myself because there were some other parts where he got into this bipolar disease, but he's not talking about literally bipolar disease. It's basically something else, which is why I'm calling it a new phrase with a new definition regarding polar, as in polar magnetic poles. So anyways, a new phrase: bipolar disease problems, multiple magnetic poles, in other words, are indicated to be very widespread and to be harshly affecting of electronic and magnetic infrastructure. The supporting data sets for the bipolar disease problems include satellites in disarray or actually coming out of array positions, which will affect so many things from phones, cell phones, and GPS navigations, and including first responder timelines, timeliness, first responder timeliness, and war capabilities. The hints that the data suggest will pre-say the appearance of the first major incident of bipolar disease include wonky directions from GPS, bad landings at airports, additional note, especially involving relatively minor altitude errors while taking off and landing planes, including military, and a number globally of incidents involving ferries and transport ships which will fail to connect with land/port appropriately. At even the most minor level, the bipolar disease subset is indicating huge levels of costs and disruptions of the flow of goods/people. The bipolar disease subset also contains descriptor sets in support of bent pipes and twisted rail lines. Further problems with human transportation will be seen with maglev trains, which will encounter patches or spaces in their path where magnetic fields don't function as required. These incidents are described as causing damage to the passengers. And I would assume on a maglev train that's hauling butt, magnetic fields opposing each other. The train has one magnetic field, quite possibly just magnets, and then the rail that it glides on is the electromagnet. And they can turn off and on quickly the electromagnet on the track, which can actually set the speed of the train, I believe, or vice versa if it's the train that has the electronic part. I believe it's the track actually, but if that was to shut off completely while the thing's going 100 something mile an hour, it's kind of like hitting the brakes pretty fast. So maybe that's what they're talking about, as well as possibly a very rapidly decreasing speed, which could jar people or whatever. Further problems from the bipolar disease are indicated to arise from the toroid anomaly aspect of this new planetary experience. The data sets indicate that the toroid formation will not be regular, and as a result will be the new direction and intensity of the jet streams, as well as ocean currents. Both of these toroid-induced macro changes are indicated to affect food supplies growing, in other words, growing food supplies, through magnetic/energy field changes. So the growing of food is going to be affected simply, probably not just by this, because there's going to be flood problems and drought problems, but on top of that, growing food is going to be a problem due to the magnetic field energy changes, and more apparently through large weather climate changes. Detail layers include descriptors for flocks of circling birds. And by the way, this isn't in any order, so I may read one sentence or a paragraph and then stop and then continue reading, and then I end up reading something that had nothing to do with that kind of topic. So just kind of look out for that. And I didn't put necessarily a note to myself that I switched into a whole different, page 7 and then I went to page 12 or something, Detail layers include descriptors for flocks of circling birds being visible in mainstream media and alternative videos as they seek refuge from the sun. In the case of the markets entity, they terminate in bust, bank, ruptured system. This bankster bust subset is the fastest growing set within the markets entity. The Terra entity has extensive crosslinks into the global pop, of course, and populous US of A, and the markets entity where Terra intrusions are indicated to be either exacerbate or aggravate or illuminate, pun intended, the various forms of systemic banking/financial control system problems over these next 4 months. The following is, and I'm not sure how far down, but I just wrote American specific. Though land-based hurricanes does not make a lot of sense now in late April, it may in late summer. So right now, if I said land-based hurricanes, you'd be like, what? What the hell is that? I've never heard of that. Doesn't make a lot of sense now, but in late April, or now in late April, if I were to say that, by this summer, or sometime in late summer, it says, we just might find out and know exactly what a land-based hurricane means. Obviously, I'm going to say, we are used to seeing them out several hundreds, thousands of miles offshore. Oh, it's coming this way, we can kind of see its path. No. Hurricane, bad weather develops over Florida. I'm just throwing that out there. Florida. But interesting, it's starting to look like it's swirling like a hurricane. It's covering half the state now from side to side. That kind of thing. Didn't say Florida, I just threw that in there because that's one of the main places hurricanes like to come to. So that's interesting. Eastern seaboard, ocean temps shock this summer. Ocean temps shock this summer. Data suggests that temperatures will be out of range. In other words, yeah, we usually see it from here to here. That's typical. That's normal. This is kind of hot for summer. This is no off the chart. Like, what the hell is that? Is that number right? Check your equipment. I'm assuming. Data suggests that temperatures will be out of range. This is to say beyond normal ranges by an extreme level of difference such that vacations for millions will be impacted by the manifesting harsh conditions. Along with the flooding disasters of 2011, the mid-May weather flip out along both coasts of continental North America is also indicated to pressure the already reeling global food commodities markets. The most immediate impact of the May and June-July weather reversals, and he says, question mark, winter snow in the plains, we don't know what the hell that means, will be, so let me start without repeating that. The most important impact of the May, June, July weather reversals will be in dollar-denominated costs for foods and energy commodities, and drastic increases in imports are attempted. The data suggests that a number of reports of poor quality as well as lack of / shortages will appear around floods here in North America over summer. Now, I realize we've already seen the news lately about the Mississippi, actually one of the tributaries or whatever it is, was flowing backwards. That's a WebBot hit, by the way, from the last report. That's a taste, in my opinion, of what the WebBot report really meant is coming, as far as backward flowing rivers. These little tributaries on the side and stuff, that's nice, but the actual river itself flowing backwards is what you're going to hear about, I'm guessing, over the next couple of years. So this was just released basically yesterday, May 1st. He's been writing it and deciphering the data for I'm not sure how long. So anyone could argue and say, well, he's got floods in there and stuff. Of course, we already know the Mississippi is flooding. It's breaking all known records as far as we know right now. They're about to blow the levee to relieve of the water and let 100-something thousand acres of farmland get flooded because they have to let it go somewhere. So you could argue and say, well, it's already in the news. This doesn't count in the WebBot report. And that's fine, because I can assure you much worse is coming. So don't worry about that. And it may not be this year. It may be next year. So settle down. Okay, so the floods here in North America over summer. The data suggests that the true stories will impel officialdom to attempt to censor and restrict what information can be disseminated about foods as a national security issue. More bull crap, of course, and also not successful, indeed. The data points at the mere attempt as bringing ridicule upon minions and fueling massive civil disobedience. In the detail layers are hints that being harassed by minions for truth-telling blogs / reports about personal experience will rise to such a level of public honor that late-night comedians will boast about being censored by minion patrols. The shorter-term and immediacy data sets are pointing directly to May / June of 2011 as being the launch of the shift of ages in all things financial. Now, bearing in mind that there's a huge difference between economic and financial data sets, we note that the positive news for the global populace is the first signs of a real economy will be just starting to reach visibility in small hints here and there for the aware observer, that's you and me only, to locate, just as the financial systems enter their shake until break stage in summer 2011. The longer-term data sets are actually very positive in nature. Longer-term data sets are years away, by the way. Are positive in nature, though of course we will have to live through some horrific neck-deep levels of financial crap floods first. Now, let me read this one part back. Positive news for the global populace and the first signs of a real economy will be just starting to reach visibility in small hints here and there for the aware observer to locate, just as the financial systems enter their shake and break stage in summer 2011. Now remember what Lindsey Williams said, they're shooting for the end of 2012 to really crap on the dollar and destroy the thing and leave it practically worthless. But as you can kind of see the way things are going so far, it does look like things are speeding up. So again, if the summer of 2011 didn't quite meet your definition of the breaking of the financial system we have, stay tuned for next year, trust me. At the same time, It's already blatantly obvious right now, and we're not even in the summer, in my opinion, based off of what I see right now, that this is going to be right. The dollar is touching several times already 72 on the dollar index. Oh, it's up to 73.10, 73.20. Oh, back down to 72.0, or excuse me, 73.0, 73.10, 73.20, up 73, 72.82, 72.90. Oh, okay, back at it. 72. I don't know the exact in change number, but 72 point something was the lowest the U.S. dollar has ever been in the dollar index. And again, it's being compared to another paper crap basket, mainly the euro. So they're both crapping, and they kind of take turns of who's crapping furthest, whose ship is sinking first or fastest, while the other one's sinking, but just not as fast as the other one. So there's an illusion that only one is actually sinking, this one's staying here. It's really not too, it's kind of pointless to really mention that, but the fact that the euro hasn't been bouncing back yet and the dollar is still crapping down, I'm going to mention it. So anyways, again, gold and silver. Yeah, silver took a $5 beating, and again, Webbot, $5 a day moves, it's coming. And if you think $5 a day moves are scary right now, oh, should I sell? Should I sell? Are you kidding? Hell no, you shouldn't sell. You crazy? Save that silver, and when it gets into the $200-$300 range and it's $15 a day moves, what are you going to do then? Should I sell? It was $220, now it's back down to $200. It's probably going to keep going down. No, it's not. No, it's not. So, let me continue. While the global sheeple populace is described as being transfixed by the death of the dollar and the collapse of the global banking empire over May and June and into summer, the aware observer will be able to pick up glints of shining promise in the actual human-to-human economy of the planet. Again, noting that these promising developments have absolutely nothing to do with anything financial, currency, nothing, or physical paper, etc., and everything to do with human-to-human interaction and contact with each other. Which you can see if you really start looking around what people are trying to get into that group, help each other out thing, let's get together, let's do stuff. It's picking up more and more steam. But again, it takes the aware observer who's into this stuff, which is, again, me and my 10 subscribers, that are seeing this. So, I mean, yeah, whatever. So the data accretion patterns are clearly pointing toward the very rapid rise of dollar amounts paid for gold/silver. The data accretion patterns are clearly pointing toward the very rapid rise of the dollar amounts paying for gold and silver. In other words, obviously, US dollars, how many US dollars does it take you to buy a silver coin or gold coin, is going to be very rapidly rising. Much additional note, in spite of and above/beyond anything accrued in May. So, whatever we see in May, 45, 50 again, 55 by the end of May, whatever, 60, I don't even know. I have no idea where it's going as far as what specific number. I know it's going up. Let's say 60. End of May, 60. We're at $60 silver. What he is saying is, additional note, in spite of and above, beyond anything accrued in May. So that's in the near future. And again, he's writing this as if he released the Webbot report June 1st, let's say, or even a week into June. So you could come to that sentence and say, oh, May, last week of May, $55, it hit 60. And now he's saying, okay, the Webbot's released now in June. Now what's silver and gold doing? That kind of thing, or that month, June plus, whatever. Much of the data accretion for gold/silver is supporting the idea of a rupture between gold and silver as the new electrics language begins to rise in the mainstream propaganda press. It seems as though the data is suggesting that the mainstream media, aka propaganda press, is going to be forced into a period of pimping the new electrics meme idea due to the global awakening of the planetary bank failures/implosion. The interpretation is that the language about the new electrics will backfire / reverse upon the propaganda press when it comes out that silver is a vital ingredient in the free energy devices. So I want to stop for a second. Silver is a vital ingredient in the free energy devices. Now, I've done a lot of research. Back when I started this whole thing, remember, 2006, technically it's probably 2005. My wife swears it was 2005 because she's like, I was still working in 2005, and that guy I worked with gave us the first DVD about something, and we watched it, and so it's technically, whatever, 6 years ago. And as part of studying things, researching things, and one of the things we watched was peak oil and how they try to shut out any kind of competition and that stuff. And that led me to people trying to create hydrogen, onboard hydrogen units on their vehicles that will power their car with battery power, basically, which causes a chain reaction in the water, electrolysis, which separates the hydrogen atoms from the water into gas and then into your engine. And you could just run forever, as long as you have water. And I saw the video from Billy Meyer, I think was his name, Billy Myers, and he had this little dune buggy he drove from California to New York and back on I don't remember what the exact, maybe it was 80 gallons of water or something like that. It was just crazy. Or maybe not even that much, I don't remember. But I recognized and even bought a few things to play around and experiment with myself. And one of the things that was key to creating this reaction or whatever in the water way better than normal was him using stainless steel. This, I forgot what particular stamping grade, whatever it was, but it's a high grade stainless steel pipes within each other but not touching each other. One was a hot, one was a negative, and whatever. That's how it created it when it would pass current through it. I'm almost wondering, that's why I'm telling you this out of the way story. I'm almost wondering if it wasn't stainless steel and it was actually pure 999 or 9999. This one's for connecting dots. Maple leaves. 0.9999 silver. Pure silver. And that's the key element that really separates the water, hydrogen from the water. I have no idea, and nor do I even know if it's going to be a hydrogen producing device. I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay. Further, the rupture between gold and silver in the internal ratio of value is described as being exacerbated by the unknown amounts of pure, not plated bars of gold available. So again, remember last year before, there were some stories, didn't get a lot of press. 400-ounce gold bars was sent from one bank, central bank, to China or somewhere. Chinese got it on their ports, Hong Kong. Let's cut into it. Boom, boom, cut into 2 bars. Tungsten-filled gold. Outside shell was gold, up to, I don't know how much thick, but inside was tungsten. Because tungsten, I believe, weighs exactly the same as gold, so you can easily fake gold. You cannot fake silver the same way. It's a lot harder because the size and shape will change. The sound will change. It becomes magnetic if, and silver's normally not magnetic. Anyways, that's what he's talking about here. So in other words, I'm expecting off of reading that. Further, the rupture between gold and silver in the internal ratio of value, in other words, 16 ounces of silver buys you 1 ounce of gold, like the old ratio for thousands of years. It's currently, was 65 and 70 to 1 around there, went down to 55, 45, just like the Webbot said. It's going back down to the 16 to 1, and better than that, by the way. It's currently at 35 to 1. So again, the Webbot hit, that's what they're talking about. That ratio is going to be coming slamming back down rapidly, probably, is what he's getting at, I believe. Further, the rupture between gold and silver in the internal ratio of value is described as being exacerbated by the unknown amount, and the fake gold thing coming up. Leave it at that. The data sets are accruing within supporting sets of hoax and fraud relative to gold pro-offered by government. So government, central banks, etc. offering the gold. We've got the 400-ounce big boy bars. Oh, but they're filled with tungsten. They're fake. Oh. Oops. Causes a problem. So, pro-offered by government as well as, let me back up. The data sets are accruing with supporting sets of hoax and fraud relative to gold pro-offered by government, as well as delusion running away in the paper abstractions of gold/silver markets. The paper abstraction markets are also receiving supporting sets within descriptors of fraud and lies relative to public media. Oh, that's hard to believe. Like we didn't already know that the whole paper game's a fraud. Backed by 100 ounces of silver is backed, paper silver is backed by 1 ounce of real silver. Anyways, so it's lies about the public media. It is the latter set of lies which is showing as a trigger for fresh chaos in global paper abstractions of all kinds, currencies included, over much of June as yet more leaks emerge about planetary level frauds/schemes. This is described as occurring just as the silver prices in dollars jump to record levels never before seen/new highs as the US of A dollar reaches historic and histrionic levels of new lows. Again, I just told you, we're pushing 72 several times already, very recently, last few days. It's going to go to and beyond that, beyond it meaning lower. And he's letting you know here too. At this point in model space, in the model space progression through summer 2011, a bunch of banksters and families are killed off by the powers that be/were, but mostly no one cares much as we are all too engaged by the rapidity of change in planetary human daily life. The markets entity subset precious metals of all kinds, including platinum group and rare earths, are accruing very large supporting sets with an incredible complexity of cross-links. The cross-links reach, expectedly, into both the global population and populous US of A entities. Both, rather surprisingly, they also extend deep into the space ghosts farts, right, weird outer space stuff, entity, where the termination points is in new matter/material. The data here is clearly pointing to a creation/appearance of a new precious metal that will be composed of or created from the coagulation of a metallic and crystalline vapor. The subset of the new precious metal is implying that the first ounce of the new matter created will be worth more than all of the other precious metals that have ever been mined. Further examination of the spread of the cross-links from the precious metals subset in the markets entity across the space ghost farts entity seem to be suggesting that this new matter/precious metal will have been created in the future. Some of the subsets seemingly point to an association with the LHC CERN Collider program, the Hadron Collider program. The reason that this is pertinent is that the new precious metal will be a very pertinent temporal marker for the erupting into visibility of the panic to own precious metals at a global level. Further, the leaking into knowledge of the new matter will also be a temporal marker for panic and dismemberment, amputation of many, if not most ultimately, of the entitlement programs across what we laughingly call the developed world. Yet one other data set has the new matter as one of its temporal markers, and that is the Alien Wars subset within Space Goats Farts. The cross links from the precious metals, gold, silver subset within markets entity that goes to the global pop entity have a wide variety of termination points. Some of the aspect/attribute sets in global pop include storage, and he's got looting ? In that same keyword, and disappearing inventory, which will apparently make it to the mainstream media in spite of there being propaganda tools of the self-proclaimed aristocracy, bloodline freaks. These reports in the mainstream media of disappearing inventory will be coincident with, or just ever so slightly ahead of, default ! By a conveyor market for deeds to precious metals. So, okay, this area is the tertiary supporting set and fastest growing in early to mid-summer northern hemisphere for the bust banks rupture system, not bankrupt, bust banks rupture system that is described as dominating all political and economic decisions from mid-July onward. So to back up a little bit, the cross links from the precious metals subset within market entities goes to the global pop, whatever, includes storage facilities where they guarantee it's safe, massive lockdown, you're not coming in here, we got Fort Knox type stuff going on here, somehow being looted, and you know who's looting it, not the people. This isn't chaos, anarchy. The same people who looted the gold out of the World Trade Center towers before they came crashing down because no gold was recovered. That kind of looting. That's why, and I know you've heard this before, but let me punch you in the face right now with the truth. You cannot store your precious metals or anything you value in a bank, in a vault, in an SLV silver contract that guarantees, hey, we bought, we own 150 million, I don't know what the number is, I think it's around 300 million ounces of silver. It's in a warehouse, multiple warehouses, they're on lockdown. We have the same number of shares out there, therefore the silver is good, everybody could get their silver if they needed it. Until that day comes, knock on JP Morgan, the owner of the vault, let's say, who has their security buddies there. We're here to get our silver. Open the door, open the vault. What the hell is that? That's not our silver, that's just a little pile. Well, that's all we have here. It was looted by the bankers, the owners of those facilities. Remember what JP Morgan did? They got busted red-handed manipulating silver market. They immediately, within just a few months, 2 or 3 months after getting caught red-handed twice, said, "Oh, we're dismantling our metals trading group, and moving on to other things." And then they came out and said, "Well, what we're moving on to is the storage of precious metals. That's our new venture." So now JP Morgan, a trusted name, JP Morgan, right? We will store your silver and gold in our massive facilities and vaults. Guaranteed safe, and it'll have insurance. Only to find out you gave it to the bankers. You didn't realize that again. You trusted in the system. You got screwed again when you trust into the system. It's all a lie. You've been lied to your whole life. Trusted in it. They scammed you, got your silver and gold. Insurance company defaults because they can't pay that kind of money. They never expected losses like that. They would only expect a tiny loss or a little miscalculation, not a complete clean out, right? That's what they're talking about here. And then it says these reports in the mainstream media of disappearing inventory will be coincident with, or just ever so slightly ahead of, default by a conveyor market for deeds to precious metals. So that's paper market crashing is what we're talking here. Or deeds to, kind of like a SLV contract possibly, I don't know. So, further, in spite of the blame being spun by the mainstream media, lying media, corporate shills, in spite of the blame being spun by the mainstream lying media, corporate shills, the public perception will be of an unalterable disaster. The unalterable subset contains large amounts of support that goes toward the idea that the people/sheeple will get it, understand, viscerally grasp both the inevitability and extreme level of the to be immediately then, in July, August, experienced banking system bust. They will get it. The banking system bucks. They will finally grasp it. And he's saying July, August timeframe. Global pop entity, due in part to the increasing continuing radiation disasters in the northern hemisphere and the financial paper abstraction / banking disasters as well as the soon-to-be in-your-face apparent food-growing disasters, the data accretion patterns are describing a south-flowing river of humanity. Describing a south-flowing river of humanity. The illegal immigration and nuclear and financial and food refugee problem is indicated to emerge over the remainder of 2011 with such force as to stimulate/cause reactions in the legal systems of Southern Hemisphere nations, while some of the brave and foolhardy will still attempt air travel. The unfortunate incidents of May, June, summer 2011 basically will put a very large dent into the demand for air travel. This is in spite of the actual demand for transportation southward. True, real horror will be known later in 2011, early 2012, as the actual levels of airborne radiations are disseminated globally by the New Humans Radiation Watch organization. And the many sheeple begin to question whether that trip to Disney World was really worth the 30,000 chest X-ray equivalents. The data also points to the rumors of summer 2011 that commercial pilots are wearing lead diapers as a pre-saying of the radiation soup in the upper atmosphere meme that will later become so ubiquitously known as to spawn a number of slang terms in several dozen languages. Those nations and groups most closely bound to the dying dollar will suffer the most. The hyperinflation subset continues to grow the rest of 2011. The real pricing damage has yet to be encountered. The data is showing that sticker shock is coming to a store/market near you. There's quite a few other things that's the end of this. Again, that are in the report. I didn't, there's a few things I thought to myself, maybe I should add that. Maybe I should add that. And then when I realized how many times I think that, it's way too many times to add to my YouTube video. It's not fair to the owner of the webbot. So, whatever. I read you things that I thought were kind of the most important, I guess. But again, I guarantee you, if some people read this, they're going to see sections that stand out to them and say, "Why you should have read that more than that one section." Whatever. But I'm just doing what I do because that's my pleasure. So, anyways, it's late. Got to go to bed. And guess that's it. Stuff is unfolding left and right. And isn't it interesting with Osama bin Laden being captured and immediately killed, and body immediately burned to ashes, and then immediately after that being dumped into the ocean? That freaking scam. That 5 days ago, WikiLeaks comes out, breaking news, new report from WikiLeaks, new data from a top Al-Qaeda leader, says that if Osama is captured or killed, the retaliation will be a nuclear attack from Al-Qaeda. This happened 5 days ago. There isn't a person in this world that would have bet any amount of money, wouldn't have been stupid enough to bet any amount of money that within, say, the next week, 2 weeks, a month, that Osama bin Laden would be found and killed. No way. Because everyone knows the guy has been dead. He's just gone. So when 6 days after that release happens, WikiLeaks, literally March 1st, we get breaking news from the White House and the rest of the world, we've killed Osama bin Laden. After just getting a WikiLeaks document saying not to do that, or else you're going to get attacked with a nuclear weapon. And, coincidentally, also, very important day, I guess it was today, next day after that news, is Orly Tates, who has been after the birther movement for a long time, after Obama, had a hearing, judge, due to the recent birth certificate release, and I guess all the frenzy about it being fake, I guess, is hearing her case, I guess, again, and there was a hearing today on it. Just the first hearing, nothing really big, but mainstream media wasn't talking about it. They're too busy talking about Osama and the wedding, the royal wedding, and all that still. So, get ready for the next 9/11 event. It's going to be an inside job, and or helped along, pushed along. Go ahead and do it. We'll let you right through the borders, and we'll even give you this, and you can get over there. We're not going to check that. We'll remove the bomb sniffing dogs out of that train station for that week, kind of like they did on the World Trade Centers that weekend before that happened. Yeah, something like that, and then let it just happen, of course. And FEMA will be there the day before, like doing an exercise or something, just like they were called into 9/11 World Trade Center. Some of them were actually called in the day before. Many people don't know that they were called in the day before, and then it happened. Imagine that. Anyways, keep your eyes and ears out. We have no idea. Is it going to be attacked in this country? Is it going to be attacked in London, the UK, somewhere? But let's be logical here. Who killed Osama bin Laden? Was it the British troops or the U.S. troops? Oh, it was the Navy SEALs. An elite team of Navy SEALsmen. Right. Yeah, sure it was. And that would make you automatically assume they're letting you know who's going to be retaliated against, which would be us. So, major cities, New York, California, major cities within those places, Florida, Miami, who knows. All I'm saying is keep your eyes and ears out. We all know it was a fraud. We know it was a fake. His birth certificate's fake. The Osama thing's fake. And they're just dumping stuff on us rapid fire right now with incredible crap. I mean, incredible. So, yeah, I think stuff's about to get started. Gerald Celente has been saying they expect another 9/11 or larger event because they know how the governments work, and our government especially. Well, that's why he's calling for it. It's going to happen. They're going to do it. They're going to let it happen. They'll make it happen, etc. So, it's going to happen. That's my opinion, and that's all I got. Again, I'm tired. I'm talking out of my butt right now. I'm so tired. Talk to you guys later. I'm not uploading this video tonight. I will upload it tomorrow morning.